thank you everybody for joining us today. So, my name's Cameron Spanner. I'm one of the directors from Adams & Partners Lawyers. I've also got here Peter Adams. Peter Adams is our managing director, and I've also got a Tulsing as well here. He's another one of our directors from our firm. And today we are obviously going to talk to you about all the issues that are happening in Jordan Springs East. So what I'll do first is give you a bit of a rundown about our firm and what we do and what each of us do. So between Peter, myself and Atul, we're all building lawyers. We've got over 50 years experience between all of us. Obviously Peter's got the most. But we are all here today to help you and to tell you a bit about what the issue is and what we think are the best solutions moving forward. So what I will do is I'll jump in and give a bit of a background to the situation. So what we know at the moment is Jordan Springs was mainly used for farming, and then in around 1941 to about 1993 it was an old defence site which was used by the Commonwealth Government. From there it was sold, 38 hectares of land was sold to Lend-Lease in 2004, and from this 38 hectares it was subdivided, and in 2011 it was a registered suburb. So the registered suburb, Jordan Springs, started, and then from there obviously there's been a development that's come out a bit more, which is Jordan Springs East. So if we just go to the next slide here, as you can see, thank you. So we are here at the moment, and the issues that we're talking about are in Jordan Springs East, so off the Wannamatta Parkway. So from our understanding at the moment, there is 841 homes that have been issued with a notation on title, which essentially means is that their slab that was classed as M class has now been changed to H1. M means moderate soil movement, H1 means high soil movement. And we will discuss what these changes mean as we go on tonight. And really, as you all would be aware, the media has picked this up over the last couple of months. We've been dealing with these issues now privately for over 2 years. So we know what we're talking about when we tell you we've been dealing with this. It's just only come to the media's attention. So moving on from there, what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Peter. Peter will have a chat to you about the different types of actions that we could potentially take, and then Atul will have a chat to you about what he thinks is the best option for all of you, and then we'll open the floor to questions. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Cameron. My duty tonight is to talk to you about how you should deal with the current issues, bearing in mind there's a notation on the Section 10.7 certificate, the planning certificate issued by a council. As Cameron said, it affects 841 homes in this area, whereas Lend-Lease believe the problem is with homes less than 100 lots. That affectation is on that certificate. Obviously it's causing some issues in respect to sale of properties here, purchase of properties here, and maybe, I'm not sure, the issues of insurance and lending. We had a client last week that withdrew from purchasing here because of this notation. Over the last couple of years we've acted, Lend-Lease have made offers to, as far as we know, to 42 different residents. 20 have accepted to buy back, and we've acted for more than 10 of those. Successfully. Lend-Lease, I must say, and there's no connection between our firm and Lend-Lease, have been really good in dealing with these issues. That doesn't mean they're going to continue to be like that. The notation on your planning certificate will cause issues on sale, no doubt about it. There's nothing much we can do about that at this stage. Council has got a statutory right to put that on there, and unless they're acting against good faith, there's no way we can get that off there. From speaking to council, there is discussions between their engineers, and they've appointed 2 engineers, one being a professor from the University of New South Wales and one being an engineer from Adelaide. They've chosen this engineer because the engineer writes the specs, apparently as far as I'm aware, on landfill and what needs to be done. So the engineers are talking, but Lend-Lease's engineers and council, there's not total agreement yet on the determinations by Lend-Lease about the soil classifications or the method of determining what the proper soil classification is. So that's still in limbo. But as far as I know, there are, Lend-Lease are saying, well, there's so many people affected, you should have all got letters by now. And we're here tonight to discuss what you can do and what options are available to you that have got these letters or the ones that haven't got letters. In respect to the ones that got letters, we suggest that you settle your differences by negotiation, not litigation. We have, as I said, acted on half the ones that have been settled so far without litigation. Getting people a just compensation on value of properties, improvements and other things such as stamp duty, first owners buying scheme advances, etc. So Mr. Singh will talk a bit more about that in the process. But our firm is is offering a free consultation to you to come in and discuss your individual matter with us. No obligation, no cost. And if you look in the pack there, you'll see what we'd like to get off you before you come to see us. Now, with the options for those outside the Lend-Lease area, maybe some that haven't even got cracks yet, what do? Well, again, we advocate or recommend you come and see us, have a talk to us. We have building consultants, engineers and valuers that are willing to do certain things for us to determine whether you may have a problem or not. And we'll talk to you about what they can do for you when you come and see us. In respect to the matter where you cannot settle or won't accept the offer from Lend-Lease, the only other step is either do nothing, watch your homes, photograph the cracks, and then make a decision later on. However, if you need to litigate, there's basically two forms of litigation. Both involve the court system or NCAT. NCAT is a tribunal that's got jurisdiction up to $500,000. Depending on the damages, whether it's for a buyback or rectification, we recommend the best venue to commence your action. We would assist you in that litigation, in other words, assist with the financial burden of litigating in a court system. That will also apply to the experts we use. But that would be the last resort. We'd rather try to negotiate a sum of money that you'd be satisfied with. Now, in respect to litigation, we would prefer to run individual actions, not a class action. I was involved in the cash converters class action recently, 3 years ago. But the reason I recommend that is with class actions, it's not uncommon and fairly normal that the class action will involve a funder, a third-party funder. In Australia, there's been about 500 class actions since Australia started doing them in the 90s. And in most of those cases, there are funders, which mean someone, third party, makes a profit out of funding class actions. Lawyers can't charge a percentage to run these cases. They can charge an uplift fee on speculation, but they can't charge a percentage of the judgment amount. But funders can. And from the internet, if you've done your research, you'll see that funders will charge somewhere between 20 and 40% of the settlement sum, and that could mean a lot of money to the individual punters. For example, $1 million compensation could be reduced by $400,000, and that's the problem with class action. We believe you'll get a better result by individual actions in the court system, and maybe with an amalgamation of various actions into the same set of procedures. Where we can do that, we've done it before, and we've got the expertise. So that's what our advice is, individual negotiation through our firm. We can't settle and consider carrying out litigation individually. In respect to that notation, I'll just finish off by saying that in respect to the notation on the certificate, unfortunately that will remain, and it may cause all of you problems if you're trying to sell your house. In respect to building a house on vacant land, council now requires, I understand it, you'll have to have a geotech report before you're allowed to build on your vacant land. In respect to liability, there's numerous people in the spotlight: Lend-Lease, your builder, your engineer, the certifier, and that's up to us to give you advice. Well, we need to look at your documentation to give you that advice. So when you look at your information pack, you'll see what we want. There's a little check sheet in there that we want to look at either the building contract, the land contract, and other things. You'll see what we want to do, and if we can get that off you, then you'll come. As long as you make an appointment in the next month, you'll be seeing one of the three of us to give you free advice. Now, that's all I want to say at this stage, and I may make questions later on.
Thanks, Peter. We'll leave it up to Atul now. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron. So you've heard Peter touch the topic about litigation expenses. What we say generally works in a practical sense and a more cost-effective sense is the options of buyback, which is where Lend-Lease proposes to buy back your land, the house, and the way it's framed in the buyback is individually tailored to your situation, how much you're happy to accept for what. The buyback doesn't only mean it's only for the land and the house, there are other things involved with it. The other option, if you don't want to move, is your rectification work. And I'll get into that soon as well. But like Peter said, you may have a claim against Lend-Lease, you may have a claim against a builder or engineer, geotech, whatever. Okay, it's your right. Get advice. Which way do you want to go? If you want to go down the court path, there's no stopping you. But it's all about cost at the end as well. Now, with the buyback situation, what you need to do is the checklist that we've got in there that's got a list of documents we need. That is a good starting point for us to review it when we have initial consult with you to talk about it. Then we can say, well, you've got A, B, and C. It meets the criteria where we say to Lend-Lease, hey, we propose you buy back the land, the house. We propose, if someone's got a pool added to it, we propose you add the pool to that as well, because you obviously can't enjoy it, you're not going to be there, right? Then there are multiple other costs associated: mortgage, first house rebate, legal costs, all becomes part of a discussion. And compared to litigation, that can be done much, much faster. In my experience, Lend-Lease is on the front foot in that regard. They do like to engage in that kind of discussion as long as you meet the criteria, what we call is a trigger point. Okay, so you've got one, perhaps you received a letter from Lend-Lease in the beginning when you purchased the land, and they advised you what the soil classification was. Essentially, there's some people who had that where the soil was M, later on the house is built, then another letter comes around saying, oh no, sorry, the soil is H1. Council might send another letter saying, no, we think your soil is P. So there's a problem right there. Okay. Another trigger is if you've already made the Lend-Lease compensation scheme. Now, the term compensation scheme is, to me, it's not the best way to define what that scheme is doing. What the scheme is doing is checking off to see whether you fall within the criteria that Lend-Lease wants to then propose to you to buy back your property. If you don't make that criteria, they'll send a letter to say, go talk to your builder, go talk to your geotech, or whatever. I mean, Lend-Lease would have sent letters to you saying, can you please send us copies of this, this, and this, get it from your builder, get them to sign off, and provide all these things. That's what allows them to then work out, okay, these people fall within it, these people don't fall within it. People who fall within it, part of the compensation scheme, which is you propose and they buy back the property. The next one is the rectification. That's if you don't want to move. If you don't want to move, you have a family, you have a livelihood, you have a school, this and that, everything's here, you want to stay here. That involves experts, so we need to work out what will fix the problem, how much it's going to cost to fix the problem. Okay, we have experts on call. The first, they'll come out, they'll have a look, they'll tell you, they'll look at, are there cracks? Where are the cracks? Is it in the joint, running in the middle? Big cracks, lots of cracks. There's some settlement cracks, which is okay, but there can be a lot of settlement cracks. A lot of cracks could mean there's more than a settlement issue. Is the soil level changing? Has it changed? And I've seen photos where there's driveways. One side of the soil is up to the driveway, next side is dropped down by 10, 20, 30 centimeters, not 50 really, but looks pretty low. That to me says, well, it's worth looking at. Or the roof line, sloping slightly one way or the other. The experts can have a look at that and do a quick test and say, well, we think it's a problem. Okay, these are the trigger points. What you need to do is look at the documents that we need, email it to us with that. You can call us up as well and make a booking for it, that's fine. But it's best if you have these documents, send them to us for us to review and then talk to you about it. It'll really help you understand where you stand in terms of your property and its own. Okay? It's definitely practical because so far we've had no rejections from landlords. And like Peter said, we're not associated with them, we don't have any kickbacks or anything like that. But we've found when they talk directly to people, in the previous session, lots have complained how they've been stonewalled. After initial discussions, they'll just slow down or stop responding. Right? Hasn't happened with us yet. So I'd say they know that you are serious because you're coming through us. So we're definitely helpful there. Look at the trigger points, look at the issues, and get in touch with us. That'll definitely be helpful to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Atul. So as you can see on the screen here, what we're kind of offering to help you all at the moment is we're offering a free consult for the next month. So if you book into a free consult with us, we'll sit down and have a chat to you. But what we need from you to be able to help you is that list of documents which is in your pack. So there's a checklist in there. If you can email them to us beforehand, drop them into our office, whatever works for you, give us a call. We can then go and have a look at it and say, these are the issues that you need to be able to have a look at, and this is what we think would be the best option for you. The problem that we have is we'd love to be here and say to you all, this is the way that we think we should do it, but everyone's situation here is different, which means that it's a different course of action for us, which is why we're saying that this is what we're doing. As you can see as well, we have a range of services. We're offering discounted wills as well for everybody that's here today. That's up for you to take up if you would like. And really what I would like to say now is we're going to open up to the floor to your questions. So if you have a question, if you can just please raise your hand. We have a second microphone here which Daniela will walk around. And due to COVID we can't let you touch it, sorry, but we'll hold it out to you, let you say questions and we'll